Hello, hello everybody. Welcome to today's album review. Sir, can you hear me?
If you're talking to me, I can hear you loud and clear, and hope everyone else can as well.
Good. You had just frozen there, but
Oh.
it's all right. I can see you now. I can hear you. You're as good as gold. Right. So let's have a look at today's request. So it's come from Scrambled 5948. Welcome back to our channel. Been a long time. So Scrambled suggests listening to The Colour and the Shape by Foo Fighters. So let's have a look. Colour and Shape is their second studio album. It's from way back in 1997, before you were born, right? 46 minutes, 57 seconds long, classed as alternative rock, post-grunge, hard rock, grunge, punk rock. So let's have a look at the songs. And Monkey Wrench, presumably, is a released one.
Yeah.
My Hero. What's this? Everlong, Walking After You. Okay, so I don't recognise any of these. I'm guessing you do from your reaction there. I may know some once I listen to them, but I don't think Foo Fighters is my cup of tea, if I'm being honest. From what I know of them, but then again, what do I know of them? What's some of their well-known songs, apart from some of these ones, if they are well-known?
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're. So ones that you might know potentially: "Learn to Fly."
Don't recognise it.
"Times Like These."
Don't recognise it.
"All My Life."
Don't recognise it.
I feel like even if you might recognise them, I don't think you would probably recognise them maybe by the title. But I think you're right. I think it's generally not your usual cup of tea. But I'm sure there are a couple of Foo Fighters songs you may have heard at some point and think they're okay. I guess.
Well, there's definitely Foo Fighters songs that I know. Probably some of those you've just said there, but just from the titles don't know. But yeah, what about any of these songs? Are you familiar with them?
Yes, I'm familiar with Monkey Wrench. My Hero, possibly, but I think I might just listen to that one. And Everlong, I do know very well.
Okay,
but that's a quick glance there.
So you a fan of the Foo Fighters?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think potentially I'm probably there's quite a lot of songs of theirs that I do like. It's a strange one because I think they can be quite varied in some way. And this is like some of their earlier stuff. I think I probably prefer mostly more of their more later or like early noughties kind of stuff. Bar a couple of some of the earlier songs as well. So I think I'm sort of in that middle camp where I do like them. I do like a lot of their songs, but probably not enough to like ever have bought an album of those or know any of their sort of back catalogue. I'd only really know their main big hits.
All right.
But I think it's something more. I'd be more inclined to enjoy, and I'm actually quite looking to maybe a bit more sort of the back catalogue side of things.
So do you think I'm going to enjoy this album?
No.
You said you prefer their naughty stuff. So what's this stuff, the 90s stuff then?
I think there is some stuff in the early stuff which is still quite enjoyable. I feel maybe the early stuff is that little bit more rockier, which not always the biggest fan of, I would say. So if I had to have a guess and put my prediction even before we go into the album, before we listen to it, I don't think you will, but it's really not for me to say, and it's probably a bit unfair to do that because I don't want to put a influencing spell on you. However, it could work an opposite where you now might go in really low expectations and actually come out and go, oh, actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Quick question. Are the Foo Fighters anything like Kings of Leon? I'm asking that.
I'm not probably the best one to answer that. I don't want to get into it because whenever I'm saying people.
The only reason I'm asking that,
I
I just get a bit confused between them. Because I was thinking, my sex is on fire, but that's, of course, Kings of Leon.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just associate, I don't know, I just think of Foo Fighters. I don't know what it is with them.
No, I think most people probably say no, but I think in your terms there is some of maybe both of them maybe sort of poppy rock. If Kings Along more rocky pop song and a Foo Fighters more poppy rock song, I guess you could see some similarities. But Foo Fighters are generally are definitely more on the rock side, while say Kings of Leon a bit more on the slightly poppy side ish. But again, I'm sure people will come back and slate me on those sort of comments there.
Okay, so there we go. We're going to.
That's a nice big intro, isn't it?
And yeah, biggest one ever. And listen to Foo Fighters. So that's it from us for the time being. We'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, good people. We've now listened to the album Foo Fighters. What's it called again? Let's have a look. The Colour and the Shape, which I'll talk about later, I think at the end, actually, with that, for a couple of reasons. So, first of all, track number one was Dole. I think this was the shortest track on the album, so I could see straight away, it's just like an intro track. Actually quite a nice song. And I put down here, I hope the rest of the album is something similar. So off to a good start, shall we say. A nice, pleasant start. How did you find Dole?
Yeah, just a quick question to you. Was that sort of because obviously you didn't know much on Foo Fighters, was it a start that you were expecting, Lee, at all, that when we were listening to the Foo Fighters?
It was an intro, so I could see it was very short, so I know that intros can be nothing like the rest of an album, so
okay,
I don't know. I wasn't shocked by it. I don't know, just liked it.
Okay. Yeah, I really liked it as well. The reason I say that is obviously knowing what Foo Fighters, I was quite surprised, even though I know it was a short song, I know it was an intro, I get all that. It still surprised me that they went down that route as an intro. But yeah, really, really nice song, not what I expected. And I think the reason I was probably saying that more is because I didn't know because I'm familiar with the next track. So it was sort of thing. But like I said, we love a little bit of an intro to an album, normally to set its stall out, but we'll find out whether that stall was set as it intended with that song. But no, really good opening song, really liked it.
Yeah, so next up we had Monkey Wrench. I know that this is one of the release songs. I know this is one that you knew because you told me in the introduction when we did that. So I thought, okay, this is rocky. It's completely different from the introduction. I don't know the song. I don't particularly like it. Too rocky for me. Then it started to get even worse. Then it started to get shouty, which meant it's getting even worse. So I just put down here, awful song. Please just hurry up and finish.
Oh dear!
Awful song.
Oh dear. It is over to me. Was that how you're going to end it?
I've got nothing else to say.
Nothing positive to say.
Nothing positive whatsoever.
Yeah, so it's a song that I knew, but I would say it's definitely not up in my sort of favourite sort of Foo Fighters songs. So I said Foo Fighters, as we've discovered in the album, actually are quite diverse and stuff. I might give I did write down like sort of my top 6 Foo Fighters songs. I might save that for the end, so stay tuned for that. And this has been what I would call sort of, I think, classic old school sort of Foo Fighters. And I think probably most, and I could be wrong, so any fans feel free to mention, people who really like the Foo Fighters will probably say this is their sort of top favourite Foo Fighters songs, whilst my top ones are probably, and what yours would be if you knew more of their stuff, would be very different. But yeah, very rocky, got quite shouty in it, and I said, because I know what I was sort of expecting from there. But I think in comparison, when we get to the other songs, it is a little bit catchy now. I know you may not feel that.
It's not catchy at all.
I mean, after in comparison to maybe some of the others and other female listens, it is a bit more catchy compared to the others. So, yeah, even though no, it's like I said, it's not one of my favourite Foo Fighters songs. Yeah, that's all I can say on it as well.
Let's swiftly move on. So next up we had Hey Johnny Park. I mean, to be fair, this one did have a kind of nice soft part to it, so it's already better than the previous song, Monkey Wrench. I don't mind this song. I like the contrast between soft and hard, but definitely much prefer the soft part. So an improvement, I would say, mainly because there was a bit of that variation within the song.
Yeah, and I think we'll get more to this as we go down the album. So yeah, this is what I think I kind of like. Sometimes I feel like actually they generally do have some softer parts to it, and actually sings really well. And generally, a lot of the times stuff I like where the rock part doesn't go that too rocky, because he's got Dave Grohl, he's got this sort of a hoarse, it's kind of emotional bit. I know going off topic like Chuck Ryan, it does have that little bit of sort of hoarse, sort of emotional sound to his voice occasionally. But yeah, this is definitely a better one. Nice mix between two, but I still think it could be better out there.
So next up we have My Poor Brain. So this has a jolly little tune to it at the beginning there. And again, like the previous track, it had a sort of mixture of hard rock and this, what I'm describing as like a kind of soft, dainty tune. Kind of cute-like in a way. But I have to say the rock part was just dreadful. So I like the soft part, but not the hard part. So kind of similar to the previous track in a way.
So this was a carry on from the song. As the song ended, this one started, and again a really sort of strange start or unusual start. And what's quite like so far is that you can't say there has been variation in some regards. I know you may disagree in terms of being, but there's it's different ways we've had from these first four songs. And as you said, yeah, we've got these very soft parts and then the hard rock parts. But yeah, the hard rock parts weren't as bad as the one before. I just found maybe the ending was just a little bit too long, went on a bit longer than it needs to be. And it feels like this is what classic 90s Foo Fighters was like. So, yeah, still one of the lower ends of from the album for me.
So next up we had Wind Up. This was another awful song. Has very shouty vocals. Heavy metal like to me. This is just not for me whatsoever. Awful song.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favourites on the album. There's more of that sort of harder style of it from there. Again, it's what I mean, but mixing with the shouting as well. And again, I think what we'll probably find is that, and again, hardcore Foo Fighters fans let us know, but I think this is stuff that they probably prefer of the Foo Fighters.
So next up we had Up in Arms. I thought, okay, this is nice. It is rocking up, but in a more punk rock way, rather than that kind of heavier kind of rock stuff, almost like metal in a way. So, which I don't mind. I don't mind punk rock, as we've seen from Green Day. To me, this is the second best song after the first track, Dole. So I didn't mind this one.
This is good. Again, it was nice to have the slow vibe, so it does sort of break it up what we've been listening to already. And again, another kind of sort of not a different side to Foo Fighters, but again, just showing the sort of variation they can do from up there. Obviously, that slow side does sort of rock up a little bit, but as you kind of alluded to, not as much as the sort of previous tracks as well. So again, like you join more the softer side of the tracks sort of mixing up there. But I'll probably agree with you and probably say it could be sort of, maybe sort of, I'll probably put second favourite so far after the intro.
So next up we had My Hero. So this was not too heavy so far at the beginning. I thought, okay, this is better. I prefer this type of rock to the more hardcore stuff that we had earlier in the album. See, I'm not a lover of rock music, but I can take it. I don't mind rock music, but just not when it's too heavy. And this song wasn't too heavy for me. Plus, I thought it had a very catchy chorus as well. And I think this was not a bad song at all things considered. And this would be right up there for me as one of the best songs. on the album.
Cool. Thanks to know. Yes, this is a song that I knew. Again, I like the song. I've always liked the song. Again, wouldn't make it into my sort of top Foo Fighters 6 list, but like I said, it's definitely a better release song than Monkey Wrench, in my opinion. And again, I'm glad you sort of felt sort of the same way with that. I think it's just that little bit, it's toned down that little bit, has a sort of catchiness to it as well. And again, Foo Fighters, if you're listening, don't when I say this, just in terms of trying to help explain things, it reminds me of that same sort of thing with Nickelback, but obviously Nickelback are more sort of a resemblance of Foo Fighters. So, but that kind of sort of thing as well. And obviously when we did a review of Nickelback, it had that same sort of thing. There was a lot of sort of soft elements that they brought into it as well. So yeah, it's probably, I'll say, probably is my favourite song on the album so far. Like I said, my overall top 6, which I'll share at the end if anyone who's staying tuned. Yeah, but not my top 6 overall Foo Fighters songs.
When you say not top 6 overall, on the album, or you mean?
No, as in all Foo Fighters songs.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but I say so far on the album, this is my favourite on the album so far.
The next track was "See You," so it was nice to have a break from all the rock. I mean, the song itself isn't anything special, to be honest, but still nice to have that little change up. It just kind of breaks things up a little bit. So yeah, I kind of appreciate this song without really liking it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so one of the things I was going to say at the end, sort of to the album thing, what I quite liked, we have had these sort of breakups between a few songs and stuff, which has been really nice. Yeah, this has this sort of soft thing, and I would say, I mean, it could be classed, as I always like to find on album, like the experimental kind of song. It is something, again, totally different to what we've been having already. It has this sort of really generic sort of 90s feel to, again, a real obscure actually I'll put here with Blind Melon. They probably just like one hit kind of thing. But it had that best way to explain that sort of that 90s not grind, like 90s I can't think of the word, but very 90s, something a bit different, experimental. Yeah, quite like it. It's a surprising track.
Okay, so next up we had Enough Space. I mean, this feels too rocky for me right from the start. And yeah, this shouting style of singing is dreadful. The softer part of the song is okay though. But I mean, I'm just sort of sitting there listening to him shouting away, and I was like, how can people possibly enjoy all this shouting? But I know, like, it's amazing, isn't it, how we're all different. We all have our different preferences in music, in everything, in food. Like, I hate cheese. Some people love cheese. And like this, I don't know. I don't like it when people are shouting in songs. Some people love it. Don't know, don't get it, but didn't like this at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand in that. I'm sort of somewhere sort of in the middle, but I think it would be more where sometimes where there's too much shouting or, back-to-back songs like that. Definitely, yeah, don't enjoy it as much. So it has to be a nice sort of blend between them there. I suppose the saving grace you might say in this one, it's quite a short song on this one. But I think, the singing and parts when he's not when Dave Grohl's not over shouting is quite good. Got into it. It's like some of the earlier stuff there, which again are not my favourite tracks sort of on the album.
Yeah, next up then we've got February Stars. And I was like, okay, this sounds too good to be true. I was like, okay, this is a very mellow song so far. I prefer this one to See You, which was the track 2 songs before, which was also kind of like a softer song. But eventually, after 3 minutes, it did liven up. And I actually think it needed livening up because it was a little bit, I don't want to use the word boring, but I will use it. I think it just needed that kind of lift, which it got. So I wouldn't say I liked it that much, but it was an interesting song, a different kind of style. How the fact it was kind of just so slow and calm for the first 3 minutes before finally getting rocky towards the end.
Yeah, really interesting. And I've kind of put sort of the same thing here. I didn't use the word boring, but I had put, um, got back to his sort of soft intro. Really, I was put, is it going to stay like this? I kind of then put, no, it didn't. But like I said here, it was quite good. But it's got louder, shouted, but in a good way. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe because it just needed that little bit of a change up, and it wasn't as intense as some of the other previous ones as well. So, whereas in comparison, the rockiness didn't seem as much compared to others. But yeah, actually, I really quite like this one as well. And at least sort of the rockiness, it was, as you said, like almost 3 minutes before it sort of changed up from there. So yeah, another interesting, good song for the album.
Yeah, so the next track, Everlong, I didn't make many notes for this one. I just put, I don't mind this. It has that kind of classic American rock feel to it. And one of the better songs on the album for me. Well, when I say classic American rock, I just mean it was like I don't know, kind of like a simple rock song, not OTT. It wasn't over the top. It was just about right. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of rock, but if I am going to listen to rock, this is the sort of rock that I can take and enjoy. So yeah, this was a decent one for me.
Oh, nice. That's really good. Yeah, I was really intrigued to hear your sort of thoughts on Everlong. Again, it's a song that I knew. It's a song that I've always really liked. And I was trying to answer the question to myself, like, why? Why did I like this one in comparison to some of the other stuff I've listened to Foo Fighters? Because it is kind of rocky, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe it doesn't seem as rocky as some of the other ones. I know it is a popular Foo Fighters songs among fans, it seems. But yeah, this is definitely my sort of favorite song on the album thus far. I think we might have some changes there. I'll let you know if it made into my top six Foo Fighters songs. But yeah, really glad to hear that sort of someone who didn't know much about Foo Fighters, doesn't really like this genre of music, still found that this song was actually okay, which is a really pretty good compliment from yourself there. So yeah, cause I just couldn't understand why. I thought, well, how come why do I like this song? What's it about it? And maybe the fact that you like it.
It's definitely a lot more. What's the word? Listenable.
Yeah, I imagine the rock isn't
Not
as
so extreme.
intense.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
as intense.
but yeah, good to know.
Next up, we had Walking After You. It looks like a nice ballad, perhaps, from the beginning. And it turned out, just to be just a pleasant song on the guitar. So, yeah, I'm just liking the variety on this album. The fact that, some of these heavier songs are like being broken up in the middle, by these kind of softer songs. I think it works quite well.
Yeah, exactly that. So what I said earlier, I think definitely can't say there has been variation on this, and it's sort of mixed. Having all the soft ones at one place and all the hard ones at another place. This surprised me. I felt like this, I think, could have been more suitable for the end of the album, possibly. And I'll say, I think this is actually my favourite song on the album. It's hard to put it on because obviously I've known Everlong for a while, but this one, I really, really enjoyed having this on the album. And so it was sort of that nice sort of slow ballads and just really sung really well and just a really good, nice song. I could have probably sensed by the title it was going to have that maybe sort of feel to it. So yeah, big thumbs up for Walking After You.
So that brings us to the last track, New Way Home. This was loud and rocky from the start, so I was a bit worried here, but actually it was better than what I was expecting. To me, this is more like pop rock, definitely not nearly as heavy as some of the other stuff on the album. The song has some interesting elements to it, although the last part is not to my liking, because that's where it does start to get shouty and too rocky for me. So, interesting song, quite a lot going on in this particular song. Parts of it I liked, parts of it wasn't so keen on.
Yeah, agree with all the points there. Sort of turn up here, sort of like a good album, a good song for the album, and kind of sort of in the middle of the road. So not over too rocky, not it's literally sort of bang in the middle sort of what you might want from a song. Yes, it sort of got more intensified towards the end, but I don't think I put too much on that one there, because I said it's kind of the theme that's been with a lot of the songs on the album. And I was just sort of thinking, I still think maybe the ballad song may have been more suited for the end of the album potentially, but I don't think this was such a bad way to end it either. A good middle of the road song. And I'm surprised how quick the album went through in the end.
Yeah, so if we're going to sum up then and give some thoughts. So firstly, I'm going to start with some things to do with the name of the album, I think. So
okay, yeah.
Two things that come to mind with the name of the album: the colour and the shape. First thing is that there isn't a song called The Colour and the Shape, which is fine. It doesn't have to be a song that's.
Can I interject very quickly?
No, because I haven't finished yet. I don't, because I want to say something about that. Then maybe that will answer your. Maybe that's what you're going to say. So what I found was that on my Spotify thing when I found it, The Colour and the Shape was track 14. And I realised, well, looking on Wikipedia, that was a US bonus track. So that's what I mean. Is like that song does exist, but it's not on the original album, which I found strange, only as a bonus track. So Brett, what did you want to say?
Yeah, you kind of just took the words out of my mouth there. So like I was going to say, I had the same sort of thing there. So I was listening to it. It came up as my track 14 because I was listening to Amazon Music. And I don't think I actually ended up listening to any of it. It was really bad. It wasn't probably on the album. It definitely wouldn't have been a favourite. But I was thinking, like, it's strange how an album track called that, and it wasn't one of the main songs being a bonus track. It wasn't enough for me to make a comment in this video, but it did sort of come in the back of my mind thinking, oh, that seems weird and interesting. So yeah, I don't know if you did get to listen to a bit of it at all, but
no, I didn't.
It wouldn't have been one of your favourites. Let's just leave it at that.
Just as well I didn't listen to it then. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to mention regarding the title. The second thing, so firstly, before this album was even suggested a few weeks ago, I think I saw somewhere on the internet some picture of this guy, Dave. Was he called Dave Grohl? Mm-hmm. He was on a train heading to Glastonbury. Mm-hmm. And I saw like the train conductor or whatever, got like a picture with him. So I always, after I saw them, so I don't know, that seems like quite a British thing to do. So I didn't realise until I started listening to the album and I looked on Wikipedia that Dave Grohl and this group are American. I thought they were British.
Oh, okay.
And when I saw the name of the title, the way colour is spelt, it's spelt in the British English way. So that was another reason why I thought they were British. Because in America, in American English, they don't use the U.
Yeah.
So that surprised me. When I found out that actually they're an American band. Yeah, so that's all I was going to say on that. If anyone knows why that is, why they spelt it the British English way, let us know. And anyway, as for my opinion on the album, so this might surprise you and anyone else listening. I didn't actually mind this album overall. I know I said a lot of negative things about it, but it was just certain particular songs, particularly in the first half of the album, that I wasn't keen on. But what I did like about it did have a lot of variation to it. Different styles of rock, then some kind of like softer ballady stuff. I did like that variation for sure. And some of the songs I thought were probably pretty decent. If I listen to them again, I might actually, kind of like particularly maybe track 7, My Hero, Everlong as well. So yeah, for a kind of probably a genre of music that I'm probably not overly keen on really, I think it was overall not bad. I wasn't, first half of the album maybe I was like, I don't like this, but it got better. And I think I sort of appreciated it by the end. The other thing I wanted to say as well which you probably might not agree on based on what you were saying earlier, that you said that one particular song we were listening to, can't remember, was it See You, I think it was, you said had that kind of very typical 90s sound to it. See, I didn't think this album sounded like it was from the 90s. I can't remember what year it was released. What year was it?
I think it's 97 or 98, it's around that sort of time.
I don't think it was as late as 98, was it? I don't know. But to me, if I didn't know this was from the 90s, I would never have thought it was from the 90s, basically. This to me sounded like modern day music, or at least maybe from the noughties, or I don't know, 10 years ago or something. Or like I say, even it could be from now. I don't know. It didn't have that kind of, not retro feel, but it just didn't have that kind of, I don't know, feel to it. So I found that quite interesting. And I think that's all I really have to say on it. So over to you, sir.
Okay, thanks. Just to respond back to some of the things, I know this is probably going to be a really long video, but it's Foo Fighters. We don't do them often. We might as well milk it for everything we can. Yeah, but then I do actually agree with you in the 90s kind of thing. And I was thinking, maybe, is that because that style of rock is kind of what they might call is quite like that's what rock music is generally like. And it was only that one particular song that was sort of a little bit different, that had that kind of 90s feels to it. So, but I do agree what you're saying on that one there. Also, whilst we were talking about, I'm really interested about the colour. So if anyone does know about that, that'd be interesting to know. And as you sort of mentioned with like Dave Grohl and sort of, I was on the train to Glastonbury and stuff, and sort of feeling he was quite British. He's actually kind of like one of the nicest people in music there is, and he's so talented. He can do so much. And I don't know if you knew this as well. So he used to be the drummer in the band Nirvana.
Well, I read it on Wikipedia that, yeah.
You saw that, yeah. Which again is sort of quite interesting in itself from there. So that's to respond back to your couple of things there. Very quickly on the album, because I've kind of said my bits during the thing. So as you said as well, that nice to have that sort of variation. I know in the intro I predicted to say, you asked me, do you think I'm going to like the album? I said no. But obviously it turns out you did. But I would probably, after listening, thinking, oh, actually, there might be elements actually he probably does like from the album, which was good to hear that you kind of did. And I wasn't probably expecting to have this sort of variation. I generally thought a lot of the songs would be more like the Monkey Wrench kind of era.
Thank God they weren't, yeah.
Maybe a little bit of, the odd softer songs here and there, but predominantly more like that. So it was good that it wasn't all just like that as well. Yeah, would it be that album I'll sort of go back to this over again? Probably not. It is something where I'll probably just pick my favourite songs and sort of listen to those. But it also wouldn't put me off wanting to listen to more Foo Fighters, even though I know I love that. Again, it's one of those past ones with me where I probably know a lot of their main hits have been released, but not a lot of their back catalogue. And like I said, from this, Walking After You was probably one of my favourite songs, which I didn't even know about before. So, yeah, overall, I think I'll definitely give that a thumbs up for the Foo Fighters album, The Colour and the Shape. So for those who stayed tuned and did want to know my top 6 out of curiosity, it goes number 6, All My Life. Number 5, Wheels, which I think you probably might like as well, Lee. Number 4, Everlong. Number 3, Learn to Fly. Number 2, Times Like These. And number 1, Best of You, which is quite rocky. But again, I think you should give it one a go.
Best of You, I think I know that one.
You sure? I think you probably do. That's really quite enjoyable, but in a real good way. So I would say, yeah, give that one a listen to. Yeah, I think that might surprise you.
Can you just sing a little bit of the Best of You, like the chorus?
Oh, go on. Come on,
tiny bit.
I don't even monetize. I don't want, people to be offended or turn off on subscribe because of singing there.
I think I know it. I really do.
I think you do. I'm pretty sure you do.
The best, something like that.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'd say that. That's it.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all.
There's a little bonus feature on this review.
Okay, so there we go. That's the end of our album review. Thanks for watching. Keep the requests coming, and we'll see you again soon for the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.